Gojo vs Kakashi exposes just how many people haven't actually thought through what dimensional manipulation means. Every time that dual Mangekyō Sharingan Kakashi gets brought up against Satoru Gojo, you see comments like, "Oh, infinity is unbeatable bro, nothing gets past it, Gojo solos." And I'm wondering, do you guys actually know what Kamui does? Because as much as you want it to be, Gojo vs Kakashi isn't this evenly matched fight. In this video we'll be detailing how the concept of infinity doesn't make you invincible, and what happens when dimensional warping goes up against spatial manipulation. Hopefully by the end of this video you'll know why Kakashi vs Gojo isn't even close, and I'm even going to be going over comments from Gege Akutami who had talked about this very matchup. So without further delay, let's dive into the topic of the video. Let's set the conditions for this matchup. So this battle would take place in a neutral dimensional space, preferably an endless wasteland where neither opponent holds an environmental advantage, and collateral damage will not matter. In terms of the character versions, we'll be analysing them at their peaks, so Gojo post his prison realm release, and Kakashi will be using his dual Mangekyō Sharingan, which is enhanced with Obito's residual 6 paths chakra. This is the temporary god form he has from chapters 688 to 690, which had assisted in defeating Kaguya. While yes, the form only lasted for minutes, it was still operating at planetary scales. For the purposes of this video, nothing is restricted. Both fighters have their complete arsenals, so domain expansion, Perfect Susanoo, everything is able to be used. Neither of them have any prep time, and the win conditions are death, knockout, or complete incapacitation. And for the purposes of this fight, we'll assume that the cursed energy and chakra energy systems will be able to interact with one another. Let's go over the first combatant, Satoru Gojo. He was born as the first person in 4 centuries to inherit both the 6 eyes and the limitless. Gojo's existence alone had shifted the Jujutsu world's balance. Special grade curses had gone into hiding. Curse users stopped operating openly. The curse population actually decreased just from him being born. This is the level of deterrent that his mere existence had provided. As Tokyo Jujutsu High's teacher, he mentored the next generation while maintaining his position as modern society's undisputed strongest. Even Gege Akutami admitted that he developed a deep-seated disdain for how overpowered that he'd made Gojo as a character. Let's be clear about Gojo's dominance within his verse. He obliterated Jogo, a special grade disaster curse, so thoroughly that the fight looked like playing with a child. He delivered 48 full power strikes to Miguel's reinforced body in under 7 seconds, and Gojo tore apart 1,000 transfigured humans in under 5 minutes without breaking a sweat. When he was up against multiple disaster curses at the same time, he protected civilians while not taking any meaningful damage. Kenjaku, a 1,000-year-old sorcerer, openly admitted that he couldn't win through direct confrontation with Gojo, hence why he came up with the elaborate prison realm trap. Even against Sukuna at full power, Gojo maintained dominance through most of their battle, and here's what people forget. Gege Akutami confirmed in interviews that Gojo would have won if he hadn't dropped his guard after believing Maharaga was defeated. Gojo's signature ability Infinity works by dividing finite space into infinite fractions. Anything approaching Gojo must traverse space that divides endlessly. The first meter becomes half a meter, then a quarter, and then an eighth, continuing infinitely with each distance becoming exponentially smaller. This automatic barrier filters threats subconsciously, stopping danger while allowing harmless elements through. Gojo's 6 eyes enable this 24/7 operation by processing threats based on mass, speed, shape, and cursed energy signatures with infinitesimally close to 0 energy loss. Gojo constantly runs reverse curse technique to refresh his brain, preventing the burnout that would normally occur from continuous spatial manipulation. There is also curse technique reversal, so red generates devastating repulsive force by reversing the limitless formula. It's twice as powerful as blue. When amplified to 200% output, Gojo demonstrated this technique, destroying everything across a 4-kilometer path. Blue creates spatial compression through attractive force, capable of crushing targets into nothing or enabling what appears to be teleportation. Hollow purple is the combination of positive and negative infinity. This generates imaginary mass that erases matter from existence. His most devastating variation is unlimited purple, which is fired from long range, as it completely obliterated Maharaga by combining a distant blue with launched red. Then there is Unlimited Void, Gojo's domain expansion, which traps victims inside the Limitless itself. Targets receive infinite stimuli and information endlessly, perceiving and feeling everything while unable to process anything. They experience every action in existence at the same time. Within Shibuya, Gojo demonstrated this by activating his domain expansion for exactly 0.2 seconds, calculating that this would paralyze the transfigured humans for rehabilitation without killing civilians. The technique is so refined that even souls are affected according to his fight with Sukuna. Against the King of Curses, Gojo proved capable of shrinking his barrier to basketball size for enhanced durability, then suddenly expanding it to match Sukuna's 200-meter range adaptations, which had shocked those who were experts in barrier techniques. This now brings us to Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja who mastered over 1000 jutsu without a bloodline. He became an Onbu captain at the age of 13, and as the sensei of Team 7, he trained the saviors of the ninja world. Now, dual Mangekyō Sharingan Kakashi is something else entirely. When Obito's spirit transferred both Mangekyō Sharingan along with the residual 6-path chakra, Kakashi temporarily ascended to God tier. During his brief DMS period, Kakashi achieved the impossible. He damaged Kaguya Osutsuki multiple times, a being with planetary durability who tanked her own dimension-destroying attacks. He blitzed post-infinite Tsukuyomi Kaguya with Kamui Raikiri despite her staring directly at him. Black Zetsu stated this enhanced Kaguya moved much faster than before, yet Kakashi severed her arm before she could react. His Perfect Susanoo manifested instantly without any learning curve. Naruto called it more awesome than Sasuke's, and the databook confirms that it possessed power comparable to tailed beasts, capable of leveling mountains, and when enhanced by 6-path chakra, small planetoids. Throughout the entire Kaguya battle, Kakashi maintained these techniques continuously without exhaustion. This would have been impossible in his base form, where just 5 uses of Kamui had meant hospitalization. What people don't understand about Kamui is that it doesn't travel through space. Long-range Kamui creates warping barriers at observed locations, transporting targets to another dimension. The technique manifests directly at target coordinates. There isn't any traversal, there's no approach, it's just immediate spatial tearing. Short-range Kamui grants true intangibility by phasing body parts into the Kamui dimension. Kakashi's physical form literally exists elsewhere. He isn't invisible or untouchable, he's genuinely absent from reality. He phased through Kaguya's all-killing ash bones at point-blank range, as well as the instant death weapons which would have disintegrated him on contact. Kamui Raikiri combines dimensional warping with the lightning blade. Naruto Databook 4 describes this as defined speed thrust while maintaining intangibility. It allows him to phase through attacks, charge lightning with Kamui properties, as well as being able to strike at god speed, and anything that is pierced immediately warps away. Perfect Susanoo amplifies everything further with Kamui Shuriken that create independent warping portals. When we compare their abilities, we are fundamentally looking at dimensional manipulation versus spatial manipulation. Infinity operates within 3-dimensional space, creating infinite divisions of finite distance. Kamui connects separate dimensional planes through 4D space-time manipulation. One is manipulating space while the other is tearing through dimensional boundaries. When you analyze how this would interact, then the consensus appears to be devastating for Gojo. Kamui's warping barrier can spawn directly at observed coordinates without approaching through intervening distance. It does not need to traverse Gojo's infinite subdivisions because it never travels at all. Kakashi's attacks would simply appear at the target location and pull everything to another dimension. Think about it, infinity stops moving through space, Kamui doesn't move through space. It's like trying trying to stop a teleporter by building a longer road. The entire defensive concept becomes irrelevant against an attack which is operating on different dimensional principles. And before you start mentioning arguments in the comments about infinity applying to Gojo's whole body, thus making him infinitely dense or whatever, that's not how Gojo's technique works according to the manga. It manipulates the space between things, not the density of matter itself. What is fascinating is how this situation actually mirrors Sukuna's solution against Gojo, cutting through space itself rather than trying to traverse it. Multiple fans have pointed out that if Sukuna's world-cutting slash could bypass infinity by targeting space, then Kamui's dimensional warping should absolutely work since it operates on an even higher dimensional tier. Let's analyze their physical stats. Dual Mangekyō Sharingan Kakashi damaged Kaguya, who was able to tank dimension-destroying explosions containing stars and planets. Perfect Susanoo's casual swings had obliterated mountains with shockwaves alone, and then when you factor in Six Paths Chakra enhancement, it pushes this energy to small planet levels of destruction according to the Naruto databooks. Gojo's blue enhanced strikes crater buildings and they overwhelm special grades. This is impressive within the JJK verse where city level destruction represents the ceiling, but we're comparing street level damage to planetary destruction. The strength difference here is actually in multiple orders of magnitude. Now here's where things get pretty brutal for Gojo. Kakashi intercepted post-infinite Tsukuyomi Kaguya, who was confirmed to be faster than her previous forms. Kakashi also created openings in Madara's truth-seeking orb barrier, showcasing that he's faster than 8-gate guy who bent space through pure velocity. Kamui Raikiri carries the official Godspeed title. Fans have calculated this to be faster than light plus, and even single Kamui warps reached double the faster than light plus readings from Kamui Raikiri. Gojo on the other hand treats Naoya's Mach 3 speed as trivial and he ranks as Jujutsu Kaisen's fastest sorcerer. His teleportation provides him with instantaneous movement, Six Eyes processes information at superhuman rates, but even generous interpretations cap Gojo at hypersonic to relativistic speeds. So it seems like Gojo is at hypersonic plus versus Kakashi, who is relativistic or faster than light plus with Kamui Raikiri. The reaction time difference means that Kakashi completes entire attack sequences before Gojo recognizes threat patterns. Both Kakashi and Gojo demonstrate incredible combat skill, but their arsenals reveal the mismatch in this fight. Gojo seamlessly blends martial arts with limitless manipulation. This gives him precision, efficiency, and deadly ability within the rules of his techniques. Kakashi, on the other hand, has copied over 1,000 techniques after single observations. His tactical analysis dissects patterns mid-combat while executing complicated jutsu sequences. The Sharingan predictions also read micro-movements before attacks even begin, and the sheer breadth of options combined with precognitive elements provides overwhelming technical advantages to him. Now, intelligence and strategy is a category that's gonna hurt because it exposes Gojo's greatest weakness, which is his overconfidence born from his invincibility. Kakashi has survived multiple Shinobi World Wars, he was an Anbu Black Ops member, he's had countless S-rank missions, he defeated superior opponents through preparation and misdirection, and Hagoromo Osutsuki praised his tactical coordination as being essential to defeating Kaguya. This is someone who orchestrated victory against a dimensional goddess through pure strategic planning. Gojo approaches combat with justified superiority. He explains techniques mid-battle to increase effectiveness through binding vows and why strategize when you're untouchable. This worked perfectly within Jujutsu Kaisen where nobody could bypass infinity conventionally. But if Gojo is up against Kakashi's dimensional manipulation, then his confidence is going to become a fatal liability. Kakashi's Perfect Susanoo tanked Kaguya's attacks and it disintegrated truth-seeking orbs on contact. The Naruto databooks describe it as possessing absolute defense, which is further enhanced by the Six Paths Chakra, which has the ability to erase matter from existence as a form of defense. Gojo's durability relies entirely on infinity preventing damage. When it fails, he has skilled sorcerer physiology with cursed energy reinforcement, so nothing approaching planetary durability. Reverse curse technique provides regeneration for Gojo, but it requires conscious activation and energy expenditure. Stamina presents some interesting stats here. Base Kakashi managed maybe 5 Kamui uses before he collapsed, but dual Mangekyō Sharingan enhancement removes all of these restrictions. He maintained Perfect Susanoo and he spammed techniques without any fatigue. Contrastingly, Gojo's 6 eyes grant him effectively infinite efficiency through energy recycling, but infinite stamina means nothing if you don't survive the opening exchanges. Let's analyze each of their ultimate abilities. Unlimited Void remains Gojo's instant win condition if it's successfully used. The sure hit effects guarantee contact within the barrier, infinite information paralyzes the opponent completely, and if it lands, the fight is pretty much over. But the variants of Kamui don't give Gojo this chance. Long range warping equals instant battlefield removal. Kamui Raikiri phases through everything while erasing what it touches. Perfect Susanoo's Kamui Shuriken creates multiple simultaneous warping portals. Each technique bypasses conventional defense through dimensional mechanics. When looking at their weaknesses, Gojo developed his entire style around untouchability, which means that he's made himself vulnerable against abilities that circumvent spatial manipulation. Domain expansion requires hand signs and deployment time, fractions of seconds that matter against an opponent like Kakashi, who is operating at faster than light plus with the dual Mangekyō Sharingan. Kakashi's DMS form lasted mere minutes before Obito's spirit had departed. Time limitation creates some urgency for him, as Kamui techniques need visual lock and brief concentration. Kakashi's intangibility will prevent him from attacking when he is fully phased, thus leading to some predictable patterns that Gojo could exploit. If these ultimate attacks were to clash, could domain expansion's sure hit affect consciousness in another dimension? Personally, I don't think domain expansion would work, but what do you guys think? What could happen is that Kakashi's speed advantage grants him the first action as Sharingan analyzes the threat, long range Kamui targets Gojo's head, warping barrier spawns at coordinates, infinity cannot prevent spawn location since Kamui doesn't approach through space, Gojo warps away before completing domain expansion hand signs. Are there any unpredictable wildcards in this matchup? Well, Gojo's would be his immediate ability to recognize the threat level. If he senses 6 paths chakra through 6 eyes and he opens with instant domain deployment rather than testing with limitless, then he may have a chance. Kakashi's wildcard would be the duration limit of dual Mangekyō Sharingan. Fans always bring up that this form only lasted a few minutes in the manga. If Gojo can somehow survive the initial onslaught, maybe through lucky positioning or instant teleportation, he may be able to outlast the transformation. Though given the speed difference, surviving those minutes seems very optimistic for Gojo. There's also the genjutsu debate that is raging on when people talk about this matchup, with fans saying, yeah, Gojo wears a blindfold, so good luck with genjutsu working. But we've seen that Sharingan genjutsu has worked through closed eyelids before. The real question is whether if Kakashi's mental intrusion through chakra injection would be able to bypass 6 Eyes' unique perception. One of the biggest X factors in this matchup is words from the author of Jujutsu Kaisen, Gege Akutami himself, when he had actually spoken about this very matchup. When discussing Gojo's similarities to Kakashi, Akutami stated, "I often hear people say that it's cool that Gojo Satoru has powers like Kakashi sensei, but all I can say to that is that he's not really on the same level as Kakashi sensei." The creator of Jujutsu Kaisen literally admitted that his strongest character isn't on the level of Kakashi. Not that the fight between them would be close or under certain conditions Gojo would win, straight up he says not on the same level. In most of these exchanges in this fight, Kakashi's speed would enable him to land the first attack. He would analyze infinity through Sharingan, recognize the mechanism of action, deploy long range Kamui, the warping barrier manifests without traveling through space, and before Gojo completes hand signs or even recognizes the attack, he has been removed to another dimension. Now, I did run a community poll on the channel which has had thousands of votes. Of these votes, 53% have favoured Kakashi, while 47% have favoured Gojo to win. The split shows how compelling both of their abilities appear to be on the surface, but after deep diving and analysing, I think that this matchup is closer to a 80-20 split favouring Kakashi. Dimensional hacks superiority plus catastrophic stat advantages prove way too much, and with Akutami even admitting that Gojo isn't at Kakashi's level, I guess the true winner in the end of this fight is the teacher with the white hair that has these special eye powers. So there you have it, that was my breakdown of why Gojo versus Kakashi isn't even close. We've reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. If there is anything that I've missed, then let me know by continuing the discussion in the comments, and lastly, thanks for making it to the end of this one, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video.
A massive thank you goes out to all of my amazing Patreon supporters for helping to make this video possible. If you also want to support the channel and see your name in the end of my videos, then check out my Patreon, which has loads of perks like early video access and so much more. Thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.